Simultaneous to your influences, which are fucking dope, you had mentioned something really worth expanding on. You got this tape when you were like 10, 11 that had a B-side that had instrumentals. So does this mean that already at like 11 you're rhyming?
Yeah. Oh yeah, but not publicly. Like no way publicly,
Right,
right?
right. But let's walk through
At that
that
point,
part of the journey
yeah,
too.
that's it. So at that point, like I figured out how to get my hands on other beats because at that point I learned. So you grew up in Laval and in Chamonix, there's some hood-ish stuff. Like it's the hood, but it's not the mecca of hip hop. Like it's not like you're not gonna learn it until later on in the parks with some OGs that I knew that put me onto some other game that was, but at the end of the day, I didn't know I could go to the fucking DJ store downtown and buy records. So all I needed was a record player and they had have instrumentals on it. Like that's all I needed. And so that expanded my ability to get instrumentals,
Talk
which
about
just
this
gave me
record
more.
store. What do you mean by that?
Well, you could go downtown and there was like Taboo, there was Street Sounds. Don Smooth had a store
Did he?
basically. Like it was like Street Sounds and
You
it was
you
like
gotta understand. I
mixtapes and
personally
oh yeah,
don't
it was
know any of that.
Down by Atwater, yeah.
So
So man, from time, bro, I was like making trips for like at 12 years old, like trying to get trips downtown to go cop like mixtapes and it was crazy.
So what was the store like? Because
Oh,
honestly, I don't know. Like, was it just like a cliche? Not to sound bad about it, but like one of those cliche record stores where you would walk through it, or like tell us a bit about that, because that's some Montreal history, dude.
no, I mean, listen, like Taboo, for instance, used to be on Blurry across from Music Bliss. So you go to that building, and like that's all moved now. I think I forget it's changed into a lot of different businesses. But anyway, back then, like I used to go there. I remember there was a dude named Kirk that worked there, and like they just had all the vinyls lined up, but it was all like the shit for radio. Like it was all hip hop. Like it wasn't just like it's not an old record store. Like it was like you're there to go for DJs. It was a place where DJs went to get their shit.
Okay.
Like so, every Montreal DJ at some point went to Taboo, went to Street Sounds, went to these places to get vinyls. Blaze, across from the Burger King on St. Catherine. There's a lot of places that used to be just wilding like that. Now that was like
Yo,
94,
Spade
95,
says
and
he
they were really
remembers that.
pumping.
That's fucking cool. But
So that was the mission. So for a few years, like, and I had like little talent shows here and there, but like nothing serious. But the first like 4 years of me rapping was like treating myself like I'm training for a sport. Like that's what I thought I was in my head. Like I had convinced myself like this is okay. You may not be naturally gifted at this, so you gotta fucking earn it. This ain't. First of all, you realize real quick this isn't your culture, but you're learning and absorbing from that culture. Now you're gonna start making choices. I swear to God, how many rappers I've seen when I was younger, even the ones who were white, try and use the N word and it slided for so freaking long, and I was like, nah, this is dangerous shit. We're setting the wrong precedent. Like I was like,
and you were like, how
that's
old when you were having these realizations?
but they're important that people realize. Like at the end of the day, it's the people who let it slide that make it the problem too.
So yeah,
they become the problem.
how?
But it impacted how like I would look at other rappers around, and I started meeting other people that could rap.
Right. But how old were you when you're having these realizations, though? Because, honestly, you say, like, everyone kind of realizes that quick, but I didn't, personally. And I'm only, like, a little bit younger than you. So maybe there's something in between that experience of growing up with the albums you did and growing up with the great... Because I grew up with Eminem, right? And that's a big difference. So I'm 12 years old, and Eminem is it. You look up, you see him, he's winning. And that might be a little bit different than growing up with the collection of golden era legends that you absorbed. So I think it's so fascinating that little difference may have had such an impact on how we treated the culture at first. Because I did not treat the culture with the same level of respect you did. And that's why I'm so fascinated that it's so young you treated it with that level of respect. Because you're a teenager at this point, right?
Here's the thing. I'll put it to you like this. I never even want to take credit and say it was a choice, because the circumstances were like my best friend when I was like 12, 13 was black, was Jamaican. And I'm going to his house and I'm literally learning this culture. Now, I'm not that culture, but I can enjoy it. But I know to respect it because it's not mine. Because if I bring somebody into my culture, I'm not gonna like. I'm Italian and Irish. I don't really do much of either. Like I'm not stereotypical anything in any way. So I don't want to take credit in that sense. But what I'm saying is like, how could you not respect some cultures, a culture that welcomes you with open arms?
Mm.
I never known like, and I don't want to generalize any Jamaicans or Haitians or anybody, but I've never known any bad ones to start with in the sense of like everybody treated me like family all the time. So who am I to have a different opinion on that? Now, how could I not respect it? So that's just the having like a code of ethics. Like I look at it like it was just natural for me because of the situation I was put in. Had I grew up around only white people, and not had the balance. Still, St. Maxim is a very multicultural school. Like at the end of the
Mm.
day, you grew up around everybody from Armenians, Lebanese, white, black. You were Italian, you were Spanish, you were Asian. We didn't see those.
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't grow up with
That's
those
actually
fights.
another really interesting thing. I went to Wager, so I definitely knew the N word thing. Like I'm not that guy. But as far as so I went to Wager, which is white people are very much the minority at that school. There's no other way to put it.
Yeah,
At least when I
yeah,
went, and but I also ended up falling in love with hip hop a lot through high school. And having that eclectic mix of cultures, I think we ranked with like the smallest school population, the most diverse ethnically, which is fucking crazy. It's such a cool experience. But you seem to have gone through a similar thing, which sounds to me like you were also exposed to a lot of different musical cultures as an adolescent. And
yeah.
that's what I'm maybe projecting a bit. So I guess I'm asking, is that true? Did you get a lot of extra stuff that a lot of people didn't get?
Definitely. I probably would have never been a fan of reggae had I not been surrounded by so much of it. Like, you know
Mm.
what I mean? Like, I love it now, but how do I know what that path would have been? I think I love all music, so like, I'm not saying in that aspect, but just saying like everything that you're immersed in, everything that's attached to a good memory is gonna have some effect on you in some way or another. You know what I mean? And I don't know. For me, it's just like I see those things as it's a blessing. Every nationality, I have friends of I used to joke that my friends look like the UN because like everybody from a different nationality or race. And what the fuck is the difference? The only thing we saw was what we could learn from each other, never what we took from each other. So that just became the mentality you have when you're around that way, where you don't even think about it. This is not you don't do it consciously, and it happens naturally for everybody. Say, I always think like I can say this for myself. I'll never speak for somebody else because we don't get to the same place at the same time, and that's not going to be based on sometimes years of experience or it's random. But people get where they need to go when they need to go there. If it's a good or a bad situation that leads them to their realizations, it's gonna happen. I kind of believe in that kind of fate. In a sense, like I'm not saying it's predetermined. You make choices, but your consequences are always visible. Like at the end of the day, but you can think about consequences all day, or you can leap.
Yo, that's really
You already
profound.
know. If people go consequences and think the worst, but that you already know what the worst case scenario is. What's the best?
See
You
what
know what I mean?
yo y'all hear the knowledge nuggets he's saying, right? Life is about perspective. I'm gonna boil it down into that.